Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be taking a look at this thing. This is the OneXPlayer 2, and it's very reflective. This, if you're unfamiliar, is a handheld Windows-based gaming PC, and it was offered to me by the manufacturer, and I accepted it because, well, it's got just a little bit of inspiration from the Switch, hasn't it? Just a little. But it was only after using this more and more and really understanding it, or at least doing my best to, that I became, I'm gonna be honest, more and more fascinated. Like, this is a bizarre device. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Right, let's get this out of the way straight away. This is clearly very, very heavily inspired by the Nintendo Switch. It's why we're looking at it. You know, we've looked at things like the Iron Neo before, but this is really taking things to a whole new level, like detachable controllers. Yeah, it's very heavily inspired by the Switch. This is why I did this funny image. I'm not going to go too heavily into detail regarding the specs of the unit, but what I will say, and it's what they're touting, this contains a Ryzen 6 800U, and that is a bit of a beefy sausage for a portable machine. There's a reason it's this thick, also its battery. But if you're thinking, wow, this is like a Switch Pro, you know, we're looking into the future, is this sort of the template that Nintendo's going to use for the next Switch, or whatever blinking thing they next release? And I say to that, absolutely not. This is this is the anti-Switch. Let me explain. So, first of all, I mean, it's absolutely chuffing enormous. I mean, not just in terms of its thickness, because this is a thick old boy, but also just the size of the screen is huge. It's like 8.4 inches or something like that. It's massive. And why do we still use inches when it comes to screen size? Whereas the Switch has the Joy-Con and it's all about practicality and trying to be a sort of a slim form factor and, you know, as big only as it needs to be. This is obviously chuffing massive and, as you've no doubt already seen, lovely and ergonomic. These controllers are very comfortable to use despite the unit's weight. It is hefty, but it's still comfortable because it is so ergonomic. But it's got detachable controllers like the Joy-Con, so you can be, I don't know, playing mid-game and you sort of think, oh, it's a bit heavy, I'll just rather use it in tabletop mode. So you detach the controllers and they stop working. Yeah, this is an element that I feel is really leaning into, I've got to be honest, misleading by the website, because it's not only playing off the idea that, you know, the Switch has Joy-Con, they detach, and it's kind of like playing off that idea in your mind, but it also has this image on the website, which shows someone presumably using the device with the detached controllers, but these are ludicrously light, and they contain nothing. Like, no battery, no real guts, presumably just a PCB, which connects like this, and then you can use as a wired controller. These controllers do work if you detach them, as long as you're using an additional accessory, which doesn't come with the console by default, which, when you hear the price, it is a bit of a raw deal. So yeah, the fact that these can disconnect, I think the idea is that, oh, it's more portable. You don't have to take the controllers with you. You can just take the unit and a wireless controller, you know, like a Pro controller or something like that. But if you're going that far, I mean, it's not going to be saving much space, really. These are already pretty chonking massive. Taking them out and replacing them with another controller is a bit kind of redundant. But alright, okay, but what about the kickstand? Is the kickstand at least... No. I mean, we're talking sub-original Switch here. This is nothing, as far as I can tell, more than plastic. And it's tiny. Look at the size of this unit and look at the size of the kickstand. The OLED got it absolutely spot on. That great big massive kickstand at the back. It's lovely. This is not. But it's a powerful beastie. Why don't you plug it into the TV and, okay, it's not going to be like a big desktop experience, but surely it's going to be, you know, better than the Switch, and yeah, it would be. If it worked. I have tried as many different methods as I have available to me. I cannot get this to output to an external monitor. And I've tried updating all the drivers. I've tried doing Windows Update, which was a pain in the ass. I've tried USB-C to DisplayPort, like a direct cable. I've tried using these like adapter, these dongle things. I've tried 3 of them. None of them work. It sees that there's an external display and it says, "You want that in 800 by 600, don't you?" And I'm like, no, why won't you display? A quick Google shows that I'm not the only one having this issue. In theory, it should be possible, but I just can't get it to work, so I can only judge it based on what I've experienced. It's also why you'll see no direct capture in this video, because I can't get a video signal out of it. So the controllers don't work if you detach them. The kickstand makes using a tabletop mode kind of not really practical. I mean, to be fair, it does come with this little, like, floppy keyboard thing that just slips on the bottom like that with magnets. So if you wanted to use it as like a mini laptop type thing, it works okay. You know, like, this is surprisingly cromulent. I mean, the trackpad is tiny and a little bit horrible, but I've used a lot worse. You can't output it to a TV. What you're going to be using this for is portable gaming handheld like this. And that's all. But is it good at that? When you get it working, it is pretty damn excellent. Like, I can play Doom Eternal on, like, ultra nightmare settings and realistically not really drop too many frames. I mean, you know, I've been playing it at like 1200 by 800 because the resolution of the screen is massive. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but a portable system like this with a game that runs as well as Doom Eternal and looks as good at any resolution doesn't need to be any higher, and you'll save battery life. Admittedly, battery life is pretty good on this. Doom Eternal running at like pretty max settings. I got like nearly 3 hours. That's pretty great. I was pushing this thing. I had some wobbles with a few games. One of them in particular was A Hat in Time. I'm guessing it's maybe something to do with the Unreal Engine or the fact that this thing runs Windows, so it's got a load of overheads. But either way, sometimes I played it and it was absolutely fine. And sometimes I played it and it was borderline unplayable, and even on like performance graphics settings. So some quirks, perhaps, should we say. Some quirks. But compared to the Switch, obviously compatibility is through the roof. Not only is it more powerful, but obviously having access to Steam and other storefronts like that means that, yeah, you're going to be able to play bigger, I don't want to say better games, but bigger games certainly, and more of them on something like this compared to the Switch. The Switch has an arseload of games, but it's a closed system. This is an open one, so obviously you're going to get more games. And bigger games. I did run into some strange issues with like a really weird, and I mean really specific, really fringe case. I tried to use this to capture footage using an external capture card, and it just, well, I'll show you some of the footage. It's not good. I also had some weird issues with setup where I think something about the installation was a little bit broken or something. It kept trying to use Korean as the installation language. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get through it, so in the end I just decided to do a complete fresh install of Windows 11, and that seemed to work. So what we have here is a very powerful, very open, kind of fiddly, kind of difficult and sort of twiddly, and trying to get games running properly is sometimes a little bit of a faff. System which doesn't have detachable controllers, is not really designed for anything except portable play. This is the anti-Switch. It's a similar idea, and in looks alone, it's kind of selling itself as a Switch alternative, but realistically, it's not. The ethos is completely backwards. The Switch is all about pick up and play, simplicity, and just boom, you know, you jump into your game. You know, you download a game from the eShop, you know exactly how it's gonna run. You know, a physical game, you know exactly how it's gonna run. Boom, you just go straight in. This, you're gonna need to do some fiddling. You need to choose which storefront you're gonna be using. Are you gonna be using Steam? Are you gonna be using one of the alternatives? Are you gonna try and install Eyewitness Cat on it? I didn't actually try that, but once you've made those decisions, you've got a very powerful, very capable system that realistically doesn't compare to the Switch. Like, the Switch is miles behind in terms of raw power. This is about the numbers, The Switch absolutely is not. And if you just want to play the biggest and best games and you want to do it on the go, this is an option. But it is an expensive option. Yes, the numbers are big. The numbers are big, big, big. This is a very, very capable unit and is way more powerful than, frankly, I expected. But you're gonna pay for it. The standard retail price of this thing is $1,249, which I don't think I need to say is a lot. That's 4 Switches. It is super powerful. Is it 4 Switches worth? Well, that's not really a fair metric. It's a very different system. It's running, you know, like a proper Windows operating system rather than the Switch's sort of standard sort of OS thing that is like ultra lightweight. So, you know, apples and oranges. But do you know what's not apples and oranges? I've just realized it's not in my room, and what I've been seeing out the corner of my eye is my Wii U gamepad. This is not what I thought I had to hand. Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention the fact that the Steam Deck exists, and I've got to be honest, this is a far more appealing prospect. In terms of a portable PC gaming experience that's open and allows you to install silly things like Eyewitness Cat, Valve's little machine is a far more appealing prospect. For one thing, it's a lot lighter, it's a lot smaller, it's a lot simpler, it's got these touchpad things, so it's more compatible because, yeah, I mean, Windows was designed for a lot of things. It was not designed to be controlled with thumbsticks, which you can do on that, and it's awful. And it's true, the Steam Deck is not as powerful as the OneXPlayer. I've been able to get more performance out of the OneXPlayer. However, for the price, the difference is nowhere near stark enough. I can get similar, if not quite the same, results out of a Steam Deck that I can out of that, and the Steam Deck is a much more user-friendly experience until you try and install something that that it wasn't intended to, like anything through Linux. The OneXPlayer 2 is an impressive bit of kit, but considering that you can get a Steam Deck for around about a third of the price, it's very, very difficult to recommend this over the Steam Deck. If you absolutely want Windows and you absolutely have to have the most powerful hardware and the price isn't off-putting, which, lucky you, then it is a competent and powerful device. But I do feel that it is phenomenally niche. When the Steam Deck was announced, I thought it was going to be a niche device. This is in a league of its own. The Steam Deck isn't a Switch. This isn't a Switch. The Steam Deck is its own thing, and this is kind of the anti-Switch. And maybe an anti-Switch is just what you need in your life, but me? No. A Switch and a Steam Deck is still cheaper than this, and I think that covers more ground. Big thanks to OneXPlayer for sending this unit over. It's been thoroughly interesting, to say the least. A very eye-opening experience, and good to see a side of the industry that I wasn't as familiar with, and now feel that I'm a little bit more familiar, so thank you. If you want to learn more, there'll be a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you focus entirely on numbers and not on efficiency with that subscribe button, and be sure to check out NintendoLive.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.